Hi, my name is Charles JQ, and it's my pleasure to be introducing the 1200 by Fieldgate Urban at Ossington and Dundas. That's 1200 Dundas Street West in Toronto. This is an exciting new community that I'm going to be going into detail about over about the next 20 to 25 minutes. Now, before we get into that, a quick 2-minute video that's going to provide an exciting overview of this great opportunity.
The 1200 is perfectly positioned in one of Toronto's most vibrant neighborhoods, where Ossington meets Dundas, and the city's best restaurants meet Toronto's coolest boutiques. It's the area's first condo in 7 years, with no plans for more in the next 5. A rare opportunity in a neighborhood where condos are in short supply. That's in sharp contrast to other downtown communities like City Place, King West, and Liberty Village. The 1200 is within walking distance to the city's hottest spots, like West Queen West, College West, and the Ossington Strip. And just down the street from Trinity Bellwoods Park, where people from across the city gather all year long. It's a neighborhood that truly has it all, and a residence that fits seamlessly within it, standing 8 stories tall, with a curated collection of 115 suites. This is not just the condo of the decade, but the opportunity of a lifetime. With 85% of the neighborhood being detached, semis, or row homes, the 1200 is your chance to own a modern home in this highly exclusive community for an average price of $700,000. That's an incredible deal for a neighborhood with the highest amount of top-rated restaurants, nightlife, and independent shops in Toronto, where there's something amazing for every taste and a place for every passion. And with the TTC just a few steps away, you're connected to anywhere you need, anytime you want. This isn't just a condo, it's the condo. Designed for life at Ossington and Dundas.
Folks, Fieldgate Homes is one of the biggest builders in the country, having built over 20,000 new homes. And Fieldgate Urban has built many condos in the downtown core and AAA locations, including a number of mid-rise boutique projects. You may be familiar with Zig Condos at Bathurst and St. Clair, the Heartwood Condos, which is currently under construction in the Beaches, the Poet in Leslieville, 90 Niagara and King Street West. Now, there's a number of advantages to mid-rise buildings. The fact that there's less people in the building means there's more exclusivity. There's less wear and tear on the amenities. There's less people riding the elevator. There's less wear and tear on the infrastructure of the building. So as an owner or as a landlord, that puts you in better control of your property. The latest boutique community getting launched by Fieldgate Urban is the 1200, and that's coming to the Trinity Bellwoods neighborhood, just west of Ossington on Dundas Street. This is just a 5-minute walk from the Trinity Bellwoods Park. And as you can see, this community is just outside of the downtown core. Now, if you look at this aerial image showing the wider neighborhood, what you'll see is that we're actually just an 8-minute walk to Queen Street West, which was voted as one of the top neighborhoods in the world by Vogue magazine. It was voted as one of the coolest streets. We're also an 8-minute walk to College Street to the north. So you have 2 of Toronto's most popular streets, and you have Ossington Avenue as well. But what you'll also see is that there's essentially no high-rise buildings in the area and very few boutique condo buildings in the area as well. So the predominant housing supply here in this market is $1.3 million homes and up. And those homes are the entry level. You actually have to fix them up typically, and that's for a row house. If you're a tenant, you're probably renting in the basement of one of those row houses because the few boutique buildings in this area very rarely have inventory available on the market. Now let's look at another shot of this building. This is a beautiful building that was designed to look like it's always been here in the neighborhood. We have terraces starting on the 4th floor, and 90% of our suites have outdoor space. Those terraces actually go as deep as 12 feet deep as well. So we have beautiful 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms on high floors with great terraces, and we have unobstructed views in every direction starting on the 3rd floor. But what we've also done is designed this building to have 70% of our suites that are in the $500,000s or in the $600,000 range. Our location here, essentially at Dundas and Ossington, is walking distance to festivals that happen in the summertime over entire weekends on Dundas, on Ossington, on Queen Street West, and at College Street. So that means essentially for an entire month of your summer, you do not need to plan what you're going to do on the weekend. You can just go outside. If you want, you could go to the Trinity Bellwoods Park every weekend, or you can go outside to some of the best outdoor patios in the city. So let's talk about the restaurants here, because this is actually one of the highest densities of 4.5-star rated restaurants in the city. And I'm not talking about luxury restaurants that are expensive 5-star restaurants. I'm talking about some of them are holes in the wall, but they're just so popular. People love them. And so you have a very eclectic mix from all around Toronto and from all around the world, with restaurants like pho, Vietnamese pho. We have French food, we have vegan food, we have ice cream parlors that have lineups around the block. And so this is one of the most popular destinations in the city. Now, in terms of style, this neighborhood is much like a gentrifying neighborhood, but unlike most other gentrifying neighborhoods, there's no industrial uses and industrial buildings in the area. You'll also see in this area there are no old rental apartment buildings, which is very unique for Toronto because even Rosedale has these old rental apartment buildings in the community. Now, in regards to the condo supply, there hasn't been a new condo launch in this neighborhood for the past 7 years. And if you talk to the City of Toronto and you do some research in terms of the planning, you'll see that there isn't another launch that's planned for at least the next 5 years. So there is an undersupply of the condominium housing segment within this market. There's actually 50 times less supply of condominiums in this neighborhood than the downtown core. And what you'll see, again, is that this puts you in a position of control as an owner of that type of sought-after, rare real estate in this neighborhood, which is a very high-demand area. So let's take a look at the small number of boutique buildings that are in the neighborhood. As you can see here, they're essentially 90 units or less. And so it's very rare that there's actually an apartment that comes available either for sale or for lease. And when they do, they're at top dollar. So if you look at our location in a 1 kilometer radius, and you see this map showing all of this yellow is residential, non-developable area. And what you see in red are the actual main street commercial streets where you can develop. But the issue is that the ownership of land is so small and separately owned that you would need to be assembling a lot of different pieces of separately owned land. And even if you could assemble enough to make a building out of, you don't have enough depth. And then if you were to find a unique property that does have the depth where you can finally do a building, the requirement in this area is for a low-rise building. So just like the best cities in the world, like Paris and London that are low-rise buildings, and you have the height restricted, property values are extremely high because of that restriction on height. So now, looking at the different housing types here in the neighborhood, again, the starting price is essentially $1.3 million for a row house. For a semi-detached, you're looking at $1.7, and for a detached home, we're talking about $1.9 million. So the 1.3, again, you're investing $200,000 just to upgrade it to bring it to today's standards. So we're essentially introducing a much-needed new housing category into the neighborhood of condominiums. And we talk about in the real estate market, we talk about the gap between houses and condominiums. But in this case, there is no gap because there's essentially no condominiums in the market, right? So, and it's with that gap that you tend to see tremendous amount of appreciation. Once the housing prices increase, which they have been dramatically recently in this area, that's when it gives you a chance for your condo investment prices to go up as well. So now is the time to act here in this neighborhood with this opportunity. Now, back to the overall context of the area with this beautiful aerial image. We have an area that's filled with incredible restaurants. It's one of the most in-demand places in the city in terms of neighborhoods. You can walk to the coolest streets and all the best restaurants to the best park, and yet there's essentially no other housing in this neighborhood in terms of condos. So we are introducing the essentially only condo supply here with the 1200. Now let's look at the prices of each different category of these homes. So in black is the neighborhood pricing, in white is the 416 average. So you can see we've got detached, semi-detached, we have condo towns, attached row towns, and we have condos. So in each case, you'll see that the black bars here are significantly higher in this surrounding area compared to the 416 average. And then you see our prices here at the 1200, essentially just under $700,000 as an average price point. So first of all, we talked about the gap between condos and homes. I'd like to point out here that we actually have a gap here between condos and condos. Right? So we're actually coming in significantly lower than the neighborhood average for condos. But the one thing that this graph does not show you is the amount of supply, which I keep alluding to. There's essentially a very short supply of new condos coming to the area. Now, let's go back, take a look at a satellite image here of the area. The first thing you see is the amount of green space with Trinity Bellwoods Park. This is a 38-acre park filled with amenities. You have things like a baseball diamond, tennis courts, you have a skating rink in the winter. People go here to picnic and have fun or just walk through the trails. And it's surrounded by great restaurants. Now, in red is our location, right at 1200 Dundas Street. And we are sitting at the corner of Dundas and Lakeview Avenue. So what you see right next to us highlighted, that thin strip in green, is not another thin park. That's actually Lakeview Avenue. And you can see how unique that is in the context of the rest of the gray streets here in the neighborhood. Now looking from the perspective of across Lakeview at the building, this is a rendering that we've done looking across Lakeview looking south. And you can see the terraces here starting on the 4th floor on the north side, and you can see the terraces up above as well. You can see we're in Little Portugal here, and the address here is 1200 Dundas. Now I want to show you a street view of Lakeview Avenue. So here's my point. This street is 32.5 meters wide. This street is actually wider than Dundas Street is. It's wider than Queen Street is. This is one of the widest boulevard streets of any other residential side street in the city. It's wider than High Park Avenue. It's wider than Palmerston. So owning real estate on this street is a really good idea. And you get this beautiful tree canopy of mature trees on this street. The reason for this is actually there used to be a police station at the end of the street, and they needed the wide street for the police cars to come in and out. But when the police station moved out, the residents fought to close the street to make it quiet and make it as narrow as possible, and to have this large boulevard in front of their homes with these beautiful trees. Now let's shift gears and talk about COVID-19. Goldman Sachs predicts that by the end of 2021, 85% of Canadians are going to be vaccinated. As you'll see shortly, this is one of the factors that's bringing back confidence into the Toronto real estate market. Keep in mind, the occupancy for the 1200 is January of 2024. Let's talk about immigration, which is another huge factor for the Toronto real estate market and for the economy in general. This shows Canadian immigration starting from the 1800s, but I actually want to focus in on the last quarter of the slide towards your right-hand side, where you see immigration numbers growing, starting in around 1990s, and going up to 2015. So between 1990s and 2015, immigration on a yearly basis grew from 200,000 new immigrants a year to Canada to 250,000 new immigrants to Canada. Now from 2015 to 2019, it grew from 250 to 350 per year. And what we have with COVID, of course, is a decline in immigration. But the federal government has just rolled out new policy to increase immigration numbers by an additional 50,000, starting in 2021 and moving forward for the next few years. So in the course of just 1 year, we're boosting by another 50,000 new immigrants, new permanent residents moving to Canada. That's very good for the economy. Now, let's look at the 416, the Toronto Real Estate Board 416 condo resale numbers. This is the area that we're studying. This is the area that we're looking at. And what you're about to see in the next slide is that the Toronto real estate market is about to take off. And now is the time to make your investment. As you can see on the left, this shows the number of sales happening on a yearly basis for the months of January and February. And on the far right of this bar graph, you can see that we're currently at, for the month of February, we hit over 3,500 sales, almost 3,600 sales. That is the best start to a year that we've ever had in history. Now look at the right-hand graph. Let's talk about months of inventory. That's the supply that's on the market in terms of months. How long will it take for those to get absorbed? And what you can see that it's not abnormal for the months of inventory to be in the 3s and the 4s. But currently what you see is that it's less than 1. Okay, and you can see that right before the current major dip that you've seen in months of inventory, supply was higher because of COVID, and it came back down in August, right, which was the strongest Q3 in history, last August, summer of 2020, for condo sales in the 416, and then it went back up again, right? But now it's under 1 month of supply of inventory. And think back to 2017. If you look here on the chart for 2017, you can see that that was the only other time where months of inventory dropped below 1, and condo prices spiked by 35%. So now is the time to get in. And this next slide is going to show you the resilience of the Trinity Bellwoods Park neighborhood during the temporary negative market conditions that are putting downward pressure on rents in the city of Toronto as people are leaving. And it's going to show you why this is one of the best neighborhoods. It's outperformed every other neighborhood in the city in terms of market stability and market resilience. And that's in bad market conditions. And when you're talking about good market conditions, you're going to have the best chance for capital appreciation, and you're going to have the best quality tenants and resale values. Okay, so we're looking at all the neighborhoods downtown Toronto, and we're looking at Yonge and Eglinton as well. We're looking at the downtown core, the Church Corridor, Liberty Village. We're looking at downtown East. So the Trinity Bellwoods Park neighborhood is going to be the best place for you to own, and I'll show you why. Even during COVID, people flocked to Trinity Bellwoods Park, and it wasn't just for the park, it was for the outdoor patios. This made the news. So this is one of the most popular neighborhoods in the city. Now, if we look at rental rates in the city that have been temporarily depressed because of COVID-19 and people leaving the city, what you'll see is that the rental rates in Trinity Bellwoods Park dropped by only 9% versus other neighborhoods which temporarily have dropped between 15 and 25%. Now, this is specifically looking at condos that were built within the past 3 years. So the 1200 neighborhood is on the left, and the other neighborhoods are on the right. Now, on the next slide, we're going to look at all condos, not just the ones that were built in the past 3 years, so it's a larger sample size. And let's look at rental rates based on a price per square foot basis, starting back from 2013. So the Trinity Bellwoods Park neighborhood is the bold line, right? That you can see the rents climbing, and you can see the rents declining because of COVID as people left the city temporarily. Well, the Trinity Bellwoods Park only declined by 5%. The other neighborhoods declined on average by 15%. And after they declined, because the Trinity Bellwoods Park held their value so well, the rents here in this neighborhood are now second only to Yorkville at essentially $4 per square foot. So what's the reason why? The reason why for this is because there's essentially no supply of rentals in this market. And it's a very popular market to be in. So the Trinity Bellwoods market is only 73 leases, as you can see here on the bottom of the slide, with the line in bold with yellow. And the other neighborhoods in the city are at least 10 times and all the way up to 40 times more supply in terms of inventory on the market. Now, specifically, we have targeted what are the best product types to own at the 1200. And while we are delivering some incredible 1-bedroom plus dens and 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms with great views and beautiful terraces, we also honed in on the fact that this neighborhood has only had 3 studio transactions in the past 8 years, which creates an incredible market gap and opportunity for anyone who's looking at owning an investment property or owning one of these bachelor type apartments, maybe for themselves to live in at some point. And you can compare that to the other neighborhoods. Look how many studios there are. So the Trinity Bellwoods Park neighborhood, in terms of the past 8 years, is on the far right side. And every other neighborhood is in the hundreds into the thousands of studio sales on a yearly basis. Now, one more slide. Just like rents, we have the most stable real estate prices in the neighborhood, averaging over $800,000 for the typical condo. Now remember, the 1200, the average price is just under $700,000. And as you can see, there's been a temporary depression because of the rents coming down in the city because of the pandemic. Now, in this neighborhood, rents have stayed stable and the prices have actually gone up. So let's summarize the building information. So we have an 8-story residential high building, and on the 9th floor, we actually have a beautiful outdoor terrace amenity. There's only 115 units. So we're talking about introducing new supply to the market, but really this is a very short-lived opportunity. It's either now or never to own in the most popular neighborhood and the most resilient neighborhood in the city of Toronto. If you like safe real estate investments, you should seriously consider investing in this incredible opportunity. There's 25 parking spots. This is a very walkable neighborhood. You can walk to everything. You can walk to groceries, you can walk to your entertainment, and if you want, you can jump on the streetcar. You're going to be at Spadina in 8 minutes, or you can take the bus for 8 minutes to get up to Bloor and Ossington, where you get on the subway. There's 4,200 square feet of retail space on the ground floor. Now, Fieldgate Commercial has incredible relationships with commercial tenants, so you can be sure that there's going to be a AAA retailer located in the retail space at the 1200. And of course, the entrance is off of that quiet, beautiful Lakeview Avenue street. Now let's look at some of the finishes and features. So here's a bathroom rendering, and you can see the fixtures are matte black. That's standard. You'll also see that the mirror is large over the vanity, which is a very nice feature as well, also standard. And as per plan, this is a frameless glass shower. Now for the kitchen. This rendering isn't finalized. We're actually adding some lighting at the top. And as you'll see, the appliances are built in and integrated in behind the cabinetry. The backsplash is a return that's book matched against the countertops. That's also standard. So they've done a beautiful job, Fieldgate, designing a great building for the neighborhood that people are going to love. Now let's talk about the amenities. It's a boutique building, but we've packed in some great amenities that aren't going to cost much in terms of maintenance fees. We've got a beautiful gym located on the main floor just off of the lobby. And here's a shot of the lobby. This is the lobby that we have with a virtual concierge, and right around the corner we have a parcel storage room which is twice the size of the minimum standard that was recommended for this community. Right off of the lobby, we have a beautiful lounge that was designed to look like a luxury boutique hotel that would fit into the neighborhood. And we've designed it so that it opens up into the lobby, so it makes the lobby feel big. So this is the perfect place to go if you want to wait for your friends, get some work done, or lounge, wait for your food, or wait for a ride. Now, we also have a lounge located on the rooftop, and I only have one rendering for now, so stay tuned. We're going to be sending some out soon. But we've got beautiful views of a very large outdoor terrace and out over the city and even the lake. We also have here a catering kitchen, and you can see the fireplace as well from this rooftop lounge amenity. And the maintenance fees, for those who are wondering, are 69 cents per square foot. Now, Fieldgate Urban is able to do an incredible deposit structure. So we've split it up into two. So if you're investing in an apartment here at the 1200 that's less than $750,000, what you'll see is that your first installment is essentially 5% in 30 days. After that, it's split up into 2.5% installments, and it's spread out over almost 2.5 years. It's like 900 days. But the first 10% is 10.5 months away. So that's almost a year away for the first 10%. Most builders will only ever be able to stretch it out to 6 months for that first 10%. So this is a very incredible deposit structure that's only possible because of Fieldgate. Now, if you're looking at something that's over $750,000, then we're actually taking that the final two installments of 2.5%, that final 5%, and we're moving it to occupancy. So it's like having a 15% deposit structure with an additional 5% on occupancy, which is essentially the same as a down payment at that point. So it's almost just like having a 15% deposit structure for anything over $750,000. All right, let's take a look at the neighborhood and do a recap here. We are talking about some rare real estate in one of the most sought after neighborhoods in the city. There's no high-rise apartments in the area. There's no old apartments in the area. There isn't really any competition in terms of condo supply. All you have are homes starting at about $1.3 million that need to be upgraded, and you're just outside of the core, surrounded by some of the best entertainment in the city. We have only 115 suites, so folks, it's now or never. This is really a great opportunity to invest in one of the safest neighborhoods in the city in terms of being able to hold its value and to give you control as one of the owners of this rare piece of real estate. And there's no future supply coming to the area because of the strict zoning rules that are in place and the very difficult pieces of land to assemble. Folks, we are so happy to be working with Fieldgate Urban to be bringing this to you, and we're excited to speak with you. So if you're looking for more information, please visit our website at www.the1200.com, and we'd be happy to get in touch with you and talk about how we can get involved together into this unique opportunity. Thank you.